Begin the current Daf Mesechtes Beruchas Daf Chaf Aleph. We begin 8 lines Daf at the top of the Yomid. This shiur is co-sponsored by the Talmud River Learning Center, Torah Anytime at Daf Chaim. Quick review of the previous Daf, Daf Chaf, which we continued on the theme of the previous Daf regarding, for Kiddush Hashem, one has to be Ein Chachma, Ein Tfuna, L'neged Hashem. Person has to disgrace himself for Kiddush Hashem. He has to take off the klayim that he's wearing in the middle of the street. And we brought down, that's why the previous generations, they merited miracles, although our learning of Torah is much greater than their learning of Torah, but they were Ma'aseh Nefesh for Yiddishkeit, and we're not, and therefore we don't merit those type of miracles. Related to the story of, which was related to Tznius, the Gemara brought in that there were two great sages that they sat by the mikveh, and they weren't concerned for the Yetzer Hara of looking at the women because they were like white geese, and the other one wasn't concerned about them looking at him, that he's so beautiful, of Ayin Hara, because he's from the children of Yosef, which the Gemara brought 3 different sources why the Zerah of Yosef, there's no problem about the Ayin Hara. Then we continue with the next Mishnah, again continuing the theme of all these Mishnayos regarding exemptions from Kriyishma. Women, slaves, minors, they're all exempt from Kriyishma and obligated in different halachas. And the Gemara went through what's Chedushim of the cases of the Mishnah. Kriyishma, of course women are exempt. So we said that no, it's because Malchas Shemayim. And then we spoke about other halachas to say why they're patur, why they chayav. And then in that discussion came up that women are obligated in the Kiddush Hayom, which we clarified afterwards. We just explained some of that. Doesn't mean the Kiddush of the daytime, it means the nighttime Kiddush, which is actually the biblical Kiddush of the Shabbos. Either the Gemara wanted to say women are only obligated rabbinic, because you're right, mitzvah seishes magurama, or no, the chayv deraisa, because we have a hekesh of zachar and shamer, just like they're obligated in all the loisa says in the Torah not to do malacha, so they're obligated in the mitzvah say of zachar, which is a chrei alayayin, to make kiddush on Shabbos, and therefore they can fulfill the obligations of other people because they have the same biblical obligation. That we got into the discussion of our halacha of our Mishnah of women making birchas hamazon. We wanted to bring a proof that their obligation is deraisa because they can fulfill their husband's obligation. Said no, because the case also is the child fulfilling his father's obligation. The child for sure is not biblically obligated, rather it's because the father ate a rabbinic shiur of a kazayis. Therefore the woman or her son can fulfill the husband's obligation. And we went to the next Mishnah, which is really where our Gemara continues on this theme. And all the next Mishnah is to the end of the paragraph discussing about this character known as the Balkari. Balkari is a person that has a seminal mission. So our Mishnah said, okay, as our Gemara is going to qualify on this stuff, Ezra was masakin that there was something called Tvilas Ezra, because a Balkari should not be engaged in the words of Torah. So Kriyishma, besides the mitzvah of Kriyishma, also is the words of Torah. He's not allowed to say it, so he has to be mahar b'Kriyishma. There's a machlekes in the Mishnah, as our Gemara is going to also talk about at length today, that of Rabbi Yehuda and the Tanna Kama, if you also say the brachas Kriyishma or not. And again, what you're saying is, you're only thinking it. The question is, do you also say the brachas? And there's going to be a discussion regarding Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. Then the Gemara had an interesting machlekes, if here kedibur dami or not. On the one hand, you want to say here's kedibur, because if it wasn't, then why would you be mahar? Obviously, that here is like you're speaking. So why don't you actually say the words? That's because, like by Matan Torah, the words were spoken and there was no Balkari allowed. So to not say the words, but here in the halach of the mitzvah is like kedibur. Or the other opinion, and actually the way we rule, like Rav Chizda, is that no, here is lav kedibur dami. Because if it was like kedibur, then say the words. Obviously, it's not kedibur. So then why you be mahar? Because we don't want you just sitting there idly and not doing anything when the tzibur is involved in something, and therefore we want you to think, but really not fulfilling any obligation. So why by tefillah, as the Gemara was medayik, don't you also think about the words of tefillah like you're saying by Kriyishma? Tefillah is d'Rabbanan, whereas Berchas Hamazon is d'Oraisa and Kriyishma is d'Oraisa. So over there, that's where we obligate you to think, but really, it's not going to fulfill any obligation. It's just that we don't want you to sit idly. Some of the ideas we're going to be speaking about in today's Daf, in Beruchas Daf Chaf Aleph, we're going to continue on this last theme about Berchas Hamazon being d'Oraisa, and that's why a Balkari is mahar. And then we're going to bring what's the source that we know Berchas Hamazon d'Oraisa, that we have to make Berchas HaTorah d'Oraisa. The Gemara wants to say that the same thing should be for each one the opposite. Before eating and after learning Torah, kal v'chomer, that they show us require brachas. The Gemara is going to reject that, and the ultimate proof that it's not the case from our Mishnah. Then, interesting machlekes, the Gemara is going to discuss a shift from everything we thought up until now. If someone's not sure if he said over Kriyishma, does he repeat Kriyishma or not? That's going to be actually debatable if Kriyishma is d'Oraisa. We were assuming up until now everyone holds, yeah, Kriyishma is d'Oraisa, but it's actually not going to be so simple. It's actually machlekes. Then we're going to be talking about what happens if he's not sure if he daven, what happens if he know that he daven, but he realizes in the middle that he doesn't have to daven, what if it's on Shabbos, he said the wrong tefillah, what if, let's say, he just wants to daven again? The Gemara is going to discuss a lot of those halachas. And very interesting is going to be, the Gemara is going to discuss, what happens if you come late to shul? What do you do then? And it's going to depend on how fast you daven. It's like, if you can finish before the Shlich Tzibah gets up to certain parts, then you're allowed to daven. If not, you're not allowed to daven. The Gemara is going to discuss all those different opinions. Then the final part of the Gemara is going to discuss the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda in our Mishnah, that he disagreed with the Tanakama. He says that about Keri, not only is allowed to think the words of Kriya Shema, he's also allowed to say even the Beruchas Kriya Shema. The Gemara doesn't discuss his opinion and assume that he holds Balkari, is permitted in the Torah. Therefore, he's even allowed to say it and allowed to say the brachas. The question that's going to be discussed is he himself says it's us, and the Gemara is going to amend it, and then ultimately on the next stop, the Gemara is going to amend it again and reinterpret his whole opinion. But in that discussion, there's going to come up two drashas from Yishum and Levi, one of them being the primary source of that why a Balkari, someone that has similar mission, is forbidden to learn the words of Torah. Unlike all other tumas, Balkari is more stringent. That's going to be discussed there at the end of our Gemara. So we continue in our beginning of Daf Chaval from Alf, 8 lines down at the top of the Amud, which again, as we had just discussed from the previous Daf on the top of this Amud, that we wanted to know why is the Balkari Mahar by Kriya Shema, by Beruchas Hamazon, meaning after he eats, as our Mishnah said, but not by, let's say, the brachas beforehand or by Tefillah, is because we said by something that's biblical, we want you to think in the words, but something that's not, we don't. So on that theme continues the Gemara, Rabbi Yehuda, the Amay Rabbi Yehuda says, how do we know that the blessing on food after you eat, which is what we call benching, that's biblical? And which has obviously ramifications regarding if you have a suffix, it's a deraisa, it's l'chumra. Shlomo says the pasuk in Devarim. V'yichalta, you eat, v'savata, and you're satiated, and then v'irachta, you see the blessing is after you eat, it says in the Torah. Okay, says the Gemara, how do we know that you have to make a bracha when you're learning Torah beforehand, that's actually a biblical obligation to make a bracha before you learn Torah? Shenema, because it says a pasuk in Devarim, and this pasuk is when Moshe was coming to open up with words of song for the Torah. So he said to the Jewish people, "I'm going to bless first, and you're going to answer after me, Amen." Where do you see that? Because he says, "Kishem Hashem Erko." When I call out the name of God in a blessing, so you havu goydel elikeinu, you bring greatness to our God by answering Amen. This is how the Gemara in Yoma Daf Lamed Zayin and Alpha explains that this is where you see the source that I'm going to call out the name of God and I'm going to bless Him for the words of Torah that He's giving us. You bring greatness by answering Amen. But that's from this pasuk you see, because that was in the context of learning Torah, that you make a bracha before you learn Torah. Now on that continues the Gemara. Rabbi Yechanan, he says, Lamanu, we could learn as follows. So we learn Birchas Torah lacharau. Fine. We have a source that he says we can learn that you can make a bracha on learning Torah after you finish learning Torah, and min Birchas Hamazon from making a bracha on after you finish eating mikal v'chaimer. And the same thing he says in the reverse. Birchas Hamazon lefanau. I could tell you that it's biblical from a kabel chaimer, which is a biblical one of the Yud Gimel Midah Shatar Nujeshben is a kabel chaimer that makes it a biblical halacha. Birchas Hamazon lefanau, that you have to make blessing on the food before you eat. Min birchas haTorah, from the brachas that you make before you learn Torah, mikal v'chaimer, from a kabel chaimer. So again, he's trying to say we only had a source up until now, birchas hamazon after you eat, birchas haTorah before you learn. He wants to say I could tell you kabel chaimer that each one should be the opposite true. That when you learn Torah afterwards is biblical, and before you eat that it's also biblical. From a kabel chaimer, as he explains both kabel chaimers. Birchas haTorah lacharau, I could tell you that you have to make a bracha on the Torah afterwards from the Torah. Min birchas hamazon mikal v'chaimer, which is uma hamazon if regarding food she'ein tarn lefanav. In other words, we don't find explicit pasuk that you have to make a bracha before you eat the bread, because actually the Gemara itself, Rabbi Yochanan himself is trying to say that it is biblical from a kabel chaimer. But you don't find explicit pasuk, a source that says that you have to make a bracha on bread before you eat it. And actually that's the halacha. It's not biblical to make a bracha on bread before you eat it, only afterwards. Yet still we see tarn la'achra, but you have to make a bracha biblically afterwards, like it says in the pasuk as we quoted before. So Torah shetu'un lefaneh, so Torah as we just brought, that does require, and we brought a pasuk with like shemesh and ekra, requires a bracha beforehand. So in adin shetu'un la'achra, isn't it a kabel chaimer that you should require afterwards? Again, that's how kabel chaimer works. Kabel chaimer is that you have something that's kal and something that's chaimer. If over here you find that it doesn't require beforehand, yet it requires afterwards. So Birchas said it requires beforehand, so it has that stringency over bread. Isn't it a kabel chaimer that you should require one afterwards? Because Birchas Hamazon doesn't have the beforehand and it has the after. Here has the beforehand, shouldn't have the afterwards? So therefore, it's a kabel chaimer. And then he says the same thing as the other way. Or Birchas Hamazon lefaneh, I could also tell you kabel chaimer that making a bracha on the bread beforehand, min birchas haTorah from making a bracha on the Torah beforehand is mikal v'chaimer, because the matar, if learning Torah she'ein tu'un lacharau, you don't have to. Again, there's no explicit source in the Torah that you have to make a bracha after you finish learning. Yet tu'un lefaneh, you have to make a bracha beforehand. So mazon she'tu'un lacharau. So regarding food, which we brought up, you do need afterwards. You brought a pasuk b'chal t'v'savat derachta in adin she'tu'un lefaneh isn't a kabel chaimer that you should require beforehand. So that's what he wants to say, kabel chaimer, that biblically you should have to make a bracha on the bread beforehand and after you're learning Torah. Now that says the Gemara, you can refute both of his kabel chaimers, that it's not definitive. Because when you're coming to learn Torah, you want to learn it out from making a bracha after you learn Torah from bread, you can refute that. Because you could say, no, malamazin, what we find by bread, that yes, you make a bracha after you finish eating, shekei nena, because you had that pleasure. Whereas in learning Torah, although it's a beautiful thing and it's going to bring us to the world to come, but you didn't have that satiated feeling like you have after you finish eating a meal. So you finish eating a meal, you open up the belt a little bit. So now you make a v'chalz v'zavat v'rachta. But by learning Torah, you don't have that. So that's not necessarily kabel chaimer, because you find something, an element that by food, by bread, you would say, no, only over there you have to make a bracha afterwards. And moreover, says the Gemara, similarly, when you're going to come to learn out that you should make a bracha before you eat bread, from Torah that you make a bracha beforehand, no, you can refute that too, because you could say, Mala Torah, yes, by Torah we make a bracha before we learn Torah, shekin chaya olam, which is actually one of the brachas that we make, that because it's an eternal life when we learn the Torah. So when you're coming to learn the Torah, wow, thank you Hashem, you're giving me nitzchias, eternity right now. You don't have to buy bread. Bread meal, you got maybe some cramps afterwards, but you don't have that element when you come beforehand. Therefore, it's not a kabel chaimer. Now, but the Gemara says a definitive refutation of Rabbi Yechon's kabel chaimer. We learned in our Mishnah, we said alamazon mevarch la'acharav. We said regarding the Balkari, so he's not allowed to really say dvarim shebekdusha. So he said, when he's, let's say, saying Krishma, he thinks the words alamazon. When he's ate a bread meal, mavarch la'acharav, he thinks the words afterwards, which is Beruchas Daf. Ve'ein mavarch levanav, he does not think the words of the hamoitzi lechem and haaretz before he eats the meal. Why not? If it's deraisa, you're telling me that a Balkari is machmer and he's mahar. Why not mahar on the bracha of hamoitzi lechem? Obviously, says the Gemara, tiyufta, it's a refutation because making a bracha on the bread beforehand and Torah afterwards is not a biblical obligation. It's only rabbinic obligation, and therefore you're not going to mevarach lefanah. So that refutes Rabbi Yechon's kabel chaimer. The only thing that's deraisa is before you learn Torah and after you eat a bread meal. Now, continuing on this theme of Krishma and the same Amayr of Amr Yehuda, says the following teaching. Savikar Krishma. Let's say somebody's not sure. I don't remember if I say Krishma. What a busy morning. Savik Laikar is not sure. Maybe he didn't say it. So says Rabbi Yehuda, he does not repeat Krishma. Now, but let's say Safik Amma Emes V'Yatziv. He was by shul in the morning. He doesn't know. Did he say Berichas Krishma? Did he not? He's not sure if he said Emes V'Yatziv. Safik Loyama. Maybe he didn't say Emes V'Yatziv. So that he says actually Chayzav Oim Emes V'Yatziv. For Berichas Krishma, you're not sure if he said Emes V'Yatziv. You remember you by Shema. You're waiting for the chazan who was taking a long time, and suddenly Shema Nesim. Did I say Emes V'Yatziv? I don't remember, right? So he says, actually, Emes V'Yatziv you have to say over. Kriyashma not. Says the Gemara, my time. Why? So he says, because Kriyashma is D'Rabbanan. Kriyashma is rabbinic. Safik D'Rabbanan. Look, cool, we're not going to make you say it over. And the Gemara is actually going to ask on this one. Rabbanan, we have B'shach B'chov Kumecha, we have B'shevtch B'Beisech. How could you say that? But Emes V'Yatziv is Deraisa. Emes V'Yatziv is Deraisa. Berichas Krishma is Deraisa. How's that possible? Yes, because in Emes V'Yatziv we mentioned Yitzias Mitzrayim, which that's a biblical obligation, as the pasuk says, L'man tiskir tem tzeischem et Mitzrayim, kol mechayecha, as we learned in the first parag. That's a biblical obligation. Im Emes V'Yatziv talks about Yitzias Mitzrayim. So you have to repeat it because that's the subject Deraisa L'chumrah. And that is the Gemara, Matzah Rav Yosef, which is the question that's bringing by everybody. What do you mean? It says in the pasuk in the Varma Debartabam B'shach B'chov Kumecha that you should say these words when you lay down, when you get up. Krishma is Deraisa. Amalei Abai says, no, Hu B'divrei Torah Ksiv. No, that pasuk is talking about by the words of Torah that you should learn Torah in the morning and at nighttime. But the Debartabam is the words of Torah, not that of Krishma. Now, although we said in the beginning of the Masechta that how do we know you say Krishma in that nighttime is because of B'shach B'chov, according to this opinion, that's just a smach b'almi. It's a rabbinic illusion, but it's actually not the source of Krishma. Krishma is the rabbinic. The Raisa, it's not. This pasuk is talking about Divrei Torah. And this the Gemara continues to ask. None. We learned in our Mishnah that says, Balkari Mahar B'liboy. The Balkari, the man with the seminal mission, he can't say the words of Krishma. He thinks it in his heart. The Einim Avarch, and he does not make the Berichas Krishma. Now remember, one of the Berichas Krishma is Emes V'Yatziv. He does not make Loy Lefanev V'Loy Lachra. He does not say the Berichas Krishma beforehand and afterwards. V'alamazon, we said regarding bread meal, Mavarch La'achar Ve'einim Avarch Lefanev. So he makes the bracha afterwards, which is Berichas Hamazon, which they write. So, but he does not think the words beforehand. Says the Gemara, if you're saying like this opinion holds, that Emes V'Yatziv is the biblical obligation, so levarach lacharau, so you should have to make the bracha afterwards. It's deraisa. You said by something that's deraisa, like by Krishma, that you have to be mahar. So why not mahar by Emes V'Yatziv? To the contrary, actually, why mahar by Krishma? Krishma is only rabbinic. So that says the Gemara, my time of mavarach. Why would you tell me that you have to make the bracha at least by thinking it of Emes V'Yatziv? If it's because like we just said, because yes, Emes V'Yatziv is deraisa because of Yitzias Mitzrayim, no, ad kol b'Krishma. You already mentioned it by thinking in the words of Krishma. In Krishma itself, you have in the parsha of Yomi Yitzias Mitzrayim all the way there at the end. which is why the Rav says it loud. In case someone forgot to think, you could think of it when the Rav says it. That's why we say Yitzis Mitzrayim. So you already said it. You don't have to go ahead and, as a Balkari, think of the words of Emes V'Yatzav. It says the Gemara, but why? You just said before that in general, when someone forgets, he's not sure, did he say, did he not say? He's not going to think over Krishma, because that's the rabbinic. He's going to say over Emes V'Yatzav, because that's the Raisa. So here too, V'nema ha, why? Let him say Emes V'Yatzav, V'loy l'bayah ha, and not have to think in Krishma. Why is saying the Balkari is Mahar by Krishma and not Emes V'Yatzav? Because once he thought in Krishma, he already fulfilled. He doesn't have to think Emes V'Yatzav, because he already did the Yitzis Mitzrayim Krishma. Why don't we say the opposite? Think in the words of Emes V'Yatzav, which is we're the primary source of Yitzis Mitzrayim, and don't think in Krishma, which you're telling me is rabbinic anyway. Says the Gemara, no, Kriyashma Difa. It's better to think in the words of Kriyashma. The Ispatarti, we have both. In Kriyashma, you have Yitzis Mitzrayim and Malchus Shemaim. So when you're initially coming to do something, when you're not sure if you did something, Taisa goes through a whole arichas to explain, you're going to gain more points if you'll say over Emes V'Yatzav. We're not going to make you do both. Emes V'Yatzav is the Reisa, so then once you're doing that, you don't have to do Kriyashma as rabbinic. But here, initially, you have to choose one or the other. We don't let you. We just want you to do biblical obligations to think about. But not more than that, because you're Balkari. What is the one we're going to choose? We're going to choose Kriya Shema, because over there ultimately you have both. You have Malchus Shemaim, or Shema Yisrael, Shema Ken Shema Echad, and you also have at the end that to remember that Hashem took us out of Mitzrayim, whereas Emes V'Yatzav only has one of those points. Therefore, the Balkari is Mahar and Kriya Shema, and not an Emes V'Yatzav. Even though this opinion is saying Kriya Shema is the Rabban, Emes V'Yatzav is the Deraisa, here we're going to get both the Deraisa of Kriya Shema and of the Deraisa of Zeichel Yitzis Mitzrayim and the Kriya Shema, the Rabban in Kriya Shema, because it has Malchus Shemaim. Now, that was one opinion. That was all based on Rabbi Huda's opinion that Kriya Shema is the Rabban. But Rabbi Lazar Amar, he says, no, Sabakar Kriya Shema, if you're not sure if you say Kriya Shema, Sabak Kara, and this is actually the halacha, Chayzivakar Kriya Shema. You do say over Kriya Shema because we do hold that Kriya Shema is biblical. We learned that actually, that when it says in the Torah, B'shach B'chav Kamecha, is going the words of Kriya Shema. Now the Gemara segues into a related halacha. Sabak Yisbal, Sabak Lo Yisbal. You're not sure if you'd even daven today or not. So then, Eino Chayzim Yisbal, so you don't say over davening, because it's rabbinic. Now, Rabbi Yechonam, he says, he disagrees. He says, no, and we actually rule like this, if only that a person would pray the whole entire day. And the Bahag actually rules like this, Rabbi Yechonam, that if you're not sure if you daven Shema Nesri, you do repeat it over. Even though we're going to show a teaching shortly that it's not contradicted by that of Shmuel. When you know for sure if you daven, then you're not supposed to. But if you're not sure, then you go ahead and you daven over again. As the Gemara continues, related, Rabbi Yehuda Shmuel. Another teaching from the Amoy Rabbi Yehuda in the name of Shmuel, Hayamid B'tfila. Let's say someone's in the middle of davening. Remember, I already davened. I'm saying, and he remembers he davened. What's Allah? And this is actually the ruling. Paisik, you stop. Even in the middle of the bracha, you stop. You don't continue on in Shemay Nesri. Says is that really so? Rav Nachman says, Kavina be Rabbi Baravua. When we were in the yeshiva of Rabbi Baravua, so we asked from him, Hani b'nei Bei Rav. He said, what's with these yeshiva students? The toe, if they made a mistake, umajkri dechol b'Shabbos, it's on Shabbos. And this is something that most people, in one time in their life, they made this mistake. He's in the middle of it's Shabbos. He's saying the wrong brachas. What's the halacha? Do you at least finish that bracha if you remember in the middle of the bracha that you're saying the wrong bracha? You're supposed to be saying Shabbos davening, not weekday davening. They said, and this is actually the halacha, yeah, you finish that whole bracha. So wait a second, doesn't that contradict what you just said? You said that when you're not saying, when you're saying a wrong davening, you said you stop in the middle of the bracha, but here you're saying the wrong davening, and you say, no, you finish the bracha. How do we resolve the contradiction? And that says the Gemara, no, hachi hashta, what's the comparison? Hasam over there, gaver bar chayuvahu. On Shabbos, really, be'etzim, a person is obligated in the full Shemoneh Esrei. You're really obligated to say Atachayin and all those different brachas. The Rabbanan, they didn't want to trouble a person on Shabbos. Mishum Kavod Shabbos, because there's Kavod Shabbos, along Geshmayne Esrei, Nemtavek for the Kavod, Oynik Shabbos, I don't know which one, everyone, but it's going to take away from the honor of Shabbos. So, but really, in truth, you're really obligated. So, okay, so the rabbis made it easier for you, but once you're saying it, you finish the bracha. Avalach over here, you already davened. You're not a Gavrat Mechuyev. You have no obligation. And therefore, since you're not supposed to be saying over Shemay Nesrei, because it's not a suffix, there's no obligation here at all. You're not allowed to say more than what's necessary. And therefore, that's why you stop even in the middle, and therefore it's not a contradiction. But that's why we said these two halachas are true, that a person should not say Shemay Nesrei if he doesn't have to. But again, like Rabbi Yechon, if a person is not sure, then he should go and say over Shemay Nesrei again. Now, another teaching from Rabbi Yehuda Shmuel on the same topic says, let's say he's spal v'nichnas l'beis haknesses. Somebody he davened already, comes into shul, and he sees the oil is davening again. He davened earlier mincha, they're davening again. So that the halacha we just said before, you're not supposed to daven Shemay Nesrei, you already daven. But says Shmuel, and this actually is the basic halacha, although the custom is not usually to do that. If someone could be mechadish, could add something new, Yachzav Yispal, then you should go ahead and daven over again, which Rishonim debate. Either that means to say a new need came up, so you could daven again, or stam, he's creative, he could add on something new to the Shemoneh Esrei, then you could daven again. But if not, al Yachzav Yispal, then you shouldn't go ahead and daven over again. Now says the Gemara, Tzricha, it seems to be this is the same halacha. You already said, if you daven, don't daven. Why do you need both these halachas of Shmuel? Says the Gemara as follows. If we only had the first halacha Shmuel that said that if you're middle of Shemoneh Esrei, you remember you already daven and you're not supposed to be davening, you're supposed to stop in middle. I would tell you, Hanamili, when was this said? That was, let's say, Yachid v'Yachid. Mean to say, when he first davened, he davened by himself. When he forgot that he davened and he started to daven, again he was by himself. So then it's the same level. So then that's why. So you'll stop even in the middle of your Shemoneh Esrei. Or as we continue to base, or a similar type of case, where the first time and the second time that you daven with the tzibur. For example, let's say you're in a shtibel, and there's a minyan, and there's a minyan, and there's a minyan, and you were by both of them. And you forgot, and the oil hyped on daven, and you hyped on daven also, but I already daven, I was in the middle of learning here, right? So then it's the same level, then we can understand, okay, so you're not gaining anything the second time around, you stop even in the middle. Avol, but I would have thought to say, when, let's say, the first time you daven, you were yachid, you daven by yourself in your house. Then, legabi tzibur, the second time that you're davening is with a tzibur. Then I would say, command tali dami. Then it's like as if you never daven, because a yachid's davening in regards to the tzibur, that's what tefillah is tzibur. Some place can hold it's not even a chiyuv, but everyone says tefillah is so huge, it's such a great ace ratzin. So I would say maybe it's like you didn't daven, and therefore you should go ahead and daven over again, even though you daven. Kamashman, that's why you have to say the other halacha of Shmuel that says no, if you daven, don't daven over again, even with a tzibur. Now, why do you need then the first one? Because says we only said the second teaching that says that you shouldn't start even if there's a tzibur and you daven already, because you didn't start, so don't start. But the first teaching that you're already starting, I would say that you shouldn't stop in the middle and you should, okay, finish. Once you started, finish. So therefore we needed both. We needed to tell you, A, that you don't start even with a tzibur, and we needed to tell you that even if you started, that you don't stop middle. Now, continuing on a related halacha, Amr Abhuna says, if someone comes at the shul, this is a very important word because people get confused about how could you have a longer Shemoneh Esrei. This is talking about specifically that, and this is how many places can explain this Gemara. You find that the tzibur is already daven. Kim shpeit. You're coming in late. The oil is in the middle of davening Shemoneh Esrei. Now, this is an interesting halacha. And you can ask the rabbi again regarding practical halacha lamaisa, but if you read the sugya, it tells you a certain way. You come in and you find the tzibur is davening. So says the Gemara, if you could start and you could finish, before the shliach tzibur, who's going to daven out loud after everyone did their shtil Shemoneh Esrei, did tefillah b'lachesh, you're coming in late. You see some people already took 3 steps back already 3 seconds after they started. Some people are middle, but you see that they're middle of Shemoneh Esrei. If you can finish before the shliach tzibur is going to get up to moedim, so then you spal. Then go ahead, do your own private Shemoneh Esrei, and then finish before he gets up to moedim. But if you can't, then al yispal. Then you shouldn't. Now, what's the reason why? So Taisa brings the reason is because by moedim, everyone bows down with the shliach tzibur. If you're not going to be bowing down because you're in the middle of your Shemoneh Esrei, it looks like you're kaifer in who everyone is bowing down to. Now, the truth is, what happens to someone who came on time, but he has a long Shemoneh Esrei? So Taisa brings after Rabbeinu Tam, his custom was that when the shliach tzibur would get up to moedim, he actually would bow down with everyone else without saying anything. But that was only, and this is actually the halacha, although it's questionable what everyone else does, but in the middle of the bracha, he would bow down. But by the end of the bracha, if he's up to, let's say, the end of one of the brachas in Shemoneh Esrei, he wouldn't bow down because there's a Gemara later on, the Lamed Al Maraf, that says you're not allowed to bow down by the end of any other brachas besides Avos and by Moedim, which is where the rabbis instituted to bow down at the end. So, but that's halacha. You're not supposed to start if you came late, only if you can finish by Moedim, because if not, you're not going to be bowing down with everyone else. Now, interestingly, also, just parenthetically, Taisa brings from Rashi and Sukkah that if someone's in the middle of davening, because we're going to shortly see that there's other opinions that say you have to finish before Kedusha, before other things. If someone's in the middle of Shemoneh Esrei and he hears from the Chazan saying Kaddish or Kedusha, so he can't stop in the middle of Shemoneh Esrei. You can't say anything in the middle. But you should be silent and you should listen because Shemei Ka'ina, which Taisa has a debate, but ultimately that is the minhag, that if you're one's in the middle of Shemoneh Esrei and you hear them saying Kaddish or Kedusha, you stop and you listen, and after they finish, then you continue on. But continuing with the Gemara says that if you can't finish before they get up to Moedim, then don't daven. Pshuman Levi Amar, he says more stringently. He says, only if you could start and finish. Only if the shliach tzibur could get up to Kedusha, which is much earlier in Shemoneh Esrei, only then you spal, only then you could daven. And actually, this is how we rule. Then lav, if not, al yispal. If you come late, again, according to the basic Gemara halacha, if you come in late and you can't finish before they get up to Kedusha, then you can't daven. The question is, what's considered late? Beruchas Daf, how you daven. We're not going to get into details, but that's the primary halacha. Then don't daven. Says the Gemara, what are they disagreeing about? Why does one say that only if you can make it before Maidim, and the other one says only if you get up to Kedusha? I mean, we understand both of them agree you have to be able to make it for Maidim, because or else it looks like a kaifa. But why do they disagree if you have to make it for Kedusha? So the Gemara explains. Mar Rav Huna Saba, he held that a Yachid who's davening, Aymer Kedusha, he could go ahead and he could say Kedusha by himself. So therefore, even if he doesn't finish before the Shlich Tzibah gets up to Kaddish, 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 it doesn't bother us because he could say it himself. But Maidim, even though an individual says his own Maidim, but if he doesn't say it with the Tzibur, so everyone is going to see him not bowing down, everyone else is bowing down, it's going to look like as if he doesn't agree to God, because he's in the middle of a Shemay Nesi, someone else is Shemay Nesi, he's in the middle of Shema Kailenu, so therefore, that's why he has to be able to finish by Maidim. But by Kedusha, Rav Huna says, no, you don't have to finish up. But Umar Savar, but Rabbi Shloimy Levi held that Ein Yochadeh Kedusha. No, an individual cannot say his own Kedusha, so therefore you have to be able to finish beforehand, because or else you're missing Kedusha, which is very important. Actually, Taisa brings it, that's the halacha. But actually, just an interesting halacha Taisa brings, if someone started Shemini Esrei with the Chazan, he came late, so he starts and he says word for word with the Chazan, actually, when he gets up to Kedusha with the Shlich Tzibah, and this is the halacha, he says Nikadish, he says the whole Kedusha with the Shlich Tzibah, every single word, not just what the Kahal answers. He says all the words, even that the Chazan says, because now he's not considered as a Yachid anymore, because he's saying it together with the Shlich Tzibah. So, but that's their machlekes. The machlekes is, could an individual say his own Kaddish, Kaddish, Kaddish by himself with the Mil Shemona Esrei, or could he not? And says the Gemara, and this is actually how we rule, that he cannot. Right, so that's actually discussed, meaning the opinion that says that he could say. So that's actually the Mefarshim debate if the words Rashi says Imat Tzibur is, we have the Girsa not. Rashi says Imat Tzibur, I didn't say those words because that's debated. If even the opinion holds that he could say Kedusha as in Yachid, if that's only in Shul with the Tzibur, or if it means even on his own. Others take out that Girsa. But anyway, we don't rule like that. And we rule that actually Yachid cannot say Kedusha, and that's why we rule. If you're not going to be able to finish before he gets up to Kedusha, then you can't start. As the Gemara proves, he says that according to everybody, really, Kedusha has to be B'tzibur. And that's why some say B'chein is actually going like you just Ma'ir. It's even on the pin that holds a Yachid could say Kedusha, but it's only with the Tzibur, with a minion, but he could say it on his own. But it's for sure also proving this other point that Kedusha requires a Tzibur. As the Gemara says, how do you know that an individual cannot say Kedusha? It says a pasuk in the Yikr. It says, Hashem says, I shall be sanctified amongst the Jewish people, which tells us, anything of sanctity, which is a Kriyas HaTorah, which is Tefillah B'tzibur, which is also Kedusha, and that's actually the ruling. Anything that's about Davar Shebekdusha has to have what we call a minyan, a quorum of men, which is 10 people. But says the Gemara, what do you see from this pasuk has anything to do with the number 10? Says the Gemara, because the Tani Rav Nai, that was his name, he was Achud Reb Chia Bar Abba, the brother of Reb Chia Bar Abba, he said, Asi Teich Teich, we learn Xer Shav from the word Teich. Ksevach, says over here in this passage regarding Dvar Shebekdusha, B'nikdashti B'seich B'nei Yisrael, I shall be sanctified within the Jewish people. So it says the word Teich. Ksevach, there's a passage about Midbar that says, He badlu miteiche edazais. I tell the Jewish people to separate from this evil, wicked assembly, that of Dadas Kairach. Now, as some Gemaras add on the words, which is actually, it brought like this in the Gemara Megillah, there's another step our Gemara is not including. V'asi Eida Eida. We have a Gzeir Shava, the Eida, it says the word Eida by the Kairach, Hadas Kairach. It says the word Eida by the Meraglim, like it says, Admasei le'Eida hara azais. Now, Malahal Nashava, just like over there by the Meraglim, that it was 10 evil spies, because Yeshua and Kalev, although the 12 spies, they weren't involved in that Lashon Hara. So there was 10, and therefore it says Eida by Kairach, that's also referring to 10. So Avkan Asar, so also over here where it says Taich, and there's Taich, we learn that B'nikdashi B'seich B'nei Yisrael also means that 10 people. That's how we know Dvam Shebekdusha requires the minyan of people. So therefore, again, that's why that opinion holds that no, he cannot say Kedusha himself, and therefore he has to go ahead and finish up before the Shlich Tzibah gets up to Kedusha. Now, but one thing says the Gemara, but one thing that we see is that according to everybody, mifsik le pasuk, you're not going to stop in middle of your Shemona Esrei to say the words of Kedusha with the Tzibur. And so to the Maidim, you're not going to say the words. They were debating, so okay, do you have to finish before Maidim because you have to be able to bow down, or because of Kedusha, but because when you're middle of Shemona Esrei, you actually can't say the words. Now, on that theme, however, the Gemara asks, but the one thing they wanted to know is, what we call Amen Yesh Mirabah, and this is actually the halacha of, let's say someone has a choice of saying Kedusha or answering Amen Yesh Mirabah, what's evident from our Gemara, we see that it's greater. The Gemara is saying, you can't say Kedusha middle. If you could say Kedusha middle of Shemona Esrei, so what's the whole thing? Say it in the middle. Why do you have to finish before it? Because obviously the Gemara says you can't say words in middle of Shemona Esrei. But the Gemara is asking, but could you answer Amen Yesh Mirabah middle of Shemona Esrei? So the place can say from here, you see that if let's say you're hearing two minyanim, you're in Shtibluch, and by one that you can answer Amen Yesh Mirabah, the other one you can say Kedusha, you say Amen Yesh Mirabah because the Gemara is even discussing, maybe you could actually say the words in middle of Shemona Esrei. So the Gemara says that he said the Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon, both are Tamid, Rabbi Yechon and Amri, they both said, La kol ein mafsikin no, you can't interrupt middle Shemay Nesri for anything. Chutz min Yehei Shemay HaGadol Mavarach, except for Amen Yesh Merabba, Shafel Isik B'Maisem Merkava. Even if it involved the greatest mystical teachings of the divine chariot, Paisik, even in that, you'll stop middle to answer Amen Yesh Merabba. But the Gemara says, V'lesach Chasakavis Allah. It's not like that, and that's how we rule. You don't answer even Amen Yesh Merabba in middle of Shemay Nesri. Now Gemara continues the last part of this daf, where we had mentioned the Mishnah Machlekes. We said about Keri cannot say the words of Torah. However, he could think in what's Mechuyev Deiraisa, which is Krishma, but not Birchas Krishma. On that, our Mishnah brought a Machlekes. Rabbi Yehuda, he says that no, Mavarch Lefnei Machrem. No, he even makes the bracha on the Krishma, the brachas before and the brachas after that. He doesn't hold the stringency of that you can't say the brachas. And that says the Gemara. Remembers that to say the Rabbi Yehuda holds about Keri Mutta B'Divrei Torah. The Gemara is assuming that if you're allowing even the brachas, which are rabbinic, if you're Baal Keri, you can't say Dvarim Shebekdusha. So for the Raisa, we're going to let you go ahead and think in the words of the Krishma, not even say, just think. And you're saying you could even do by the brachas, which are only rabbinic. Obviously, he's not concerned. He doesn't hold it's a problem to actually say the words of Torah, even though Baal Keri. He doesn't hold to this whole halacha. That's what it sounds like. And that is the Gemara, but he says, which this is the source that we were talking about up until now, the whole halacha of Ezra or whatever, Baal Keri, Menayin le Baal Keri, Sha'asa b'Divrei Torah. How do we know that a Baal Keri, a man of the mission, is forbidden to say the words of Torah? Shemak says a pasuk in Devarim. It says, Vaydatim levanecha v'levanei benecha. You should make these teachings of Torah known to your sons and your grandchildren, which is about learning Torah. And right after that, the pasuk says, Yom HaShemadata, the day that you stood by Har Sinai, you should always remember. So we're comparing learning Torah to what was by Har Sinai, which is, says Yibshum Alevi, Mala Halam Baal Keri Nasur, and just like over there, a Baal Keri was forbidden by Matan Torah. That's why 3 days before Matan Torah, they had to separate from their wives because there was no semen that was supposed to be over here. Savkan, also over here, we're going to learn the Torah, Baal Keri Nasur, and it's forbidden to be a Baal Keri. So you see that a Baal Keri is also b'divrei Torah. How could you say that he's not concerned for it? Says the Gemara, and Bechidim, maybe you're going to say, yeah, Behuda loy darish smuchim. He does not expound smuchim. Where do you know this whole halacha of Shmuel Levi? What's called smuchim? Oh, you have one pasuk near another. You make such a drasha. He doesn't darshan. He doesn't expound and interpret psukim near each other. And that says the Gemara. But Rabbi Yisrael says, even according to the one who does not expound smuchim in all the other 4 parts of the Chamisha Chum Shetar, but by Sefer Devarim he expounds, and this pasuk that Rabbi Shloimy Levi is expounding is in Sefer Devarim. How do we know this idea? The Rabbi Yehuda. We know Rabbi Yehuda, loy darish smuchim mechal Torah kula. You're right. He does not expound psukim near each other in the whole Torah, but a Mishnah Torah darish in Sefer Devarim he does, as the Gemara explains this. Mechal Torah kula in regard to the whole terminology loy darish. How do we know that he does not expound smuchim? So the Gemara the time like learn the brayso, a different halacha. Ben Azayim he says, Nemer, it says in pasuk in Shemais, machshefa loy sechaya, that a sorceress should not live. Now it doesn't say what type of death should a sorceress have. But Venem, it says right after that, it says near it, Kol Sheikh V'Mehema, whoever lies with an animal carnally is Maisumas, is going to have to die. So Samchu Inyan Loi. So what the pasuk is doing, it's putting the pasuk of Machashefa Leisachaya right next to the pasuk of Sheikh V'Mehema. Loimer to tell you, Ma Sheikh V'Mehema Beskila, just like if someone engages in bestiality, he's going to get stoned, as the Gemara says in Sanhedrin, on Daf Nandal Mabez from Exer Shava. How do we know? Because it says over here, Tarig, that has to be killed. And we learn that from where it talks about by the maces, someone that's trying to seduce people to do Avodah Zarah. It says, Ki Harig Targeno, which just like over there it's skila, so too over here it's going to be skila. So since we know that sheichiv and behema is with a skila, someone engaged in bestiality gets skila, so the pasuk is putting it near a machashef to tell you, I've machashef, I'm beskila. That's how we know that a machashef is also going to get skila, someone who practices sorcery. That was the first opinion brought there. But Amalei Behuda said to him, what? What? Because the pasuk happens to put machashef near sheichiv mehema. So we're going to take out the machashef to make him laskila, to give him the most severe death penalty in the whole Torah, to stone him. What? Just because the pasuk is near it, meaning because he doesn't darshan smuchim. Ella rather says Rabbi Yehuda, no, we have an explicit pasuk somewhere else that tells us it's with skila. What's that pasuk? Because you have Oivi Yadaini, which is certain types of sorcery, that were b'chlal. They were included in the pasuk of Leisachai Kol HaMachashim Hayu. They were included in all the different types of sorcerers. Now, V'lama Yatsu, why was Oivi Yadaini singled out on their own to explicitly say that they're going to get skila? Like the pasuk says about Oivi Yadaini, that be'evin yirgemu esam, you're going to stone them with a stone, and the main bum, the blood is going to be in them. Why were they singled out? Oh, it says Rabbi Yehuda lahakashlen, to compare them to the rest of the category, which that's one of the 13 midrash atar nudeshben that we say B'shmol Leimer. One of the things is, anything was in the category, which over here was in the category of machashvim. And it goes out from the rule to teach something where it's teaching that it's going to be with skila. It's not coming to teach it just for itself. That's what we say in the Brisa right before we're going to say, start Pesukei de Zimra. We say that one of those teachings is coming to teach them regarding the whole general rule, to compare all the other category of machashvim. To tell you, just like one of the specifics of sorcery, which Avidain gets stoned, of machashvim, of machashev, beskila, so the whole category of machashev is going to get stoned. And that's how he says you know the halacha of stoning. But one thing is, you see that he does not expound smuchim, b'chol terakula. Now, b'mishnah terminal and hashdash, how do we know that regarding the rest of the Torah that he does expound? The time like the Brisa. Rabbi Lezer a different halacha. He says, and this is actually the halacha, naisa adam anus of a person is allowed to marry the woman that his father violated. Let's say his father seduced a woman, never got married to her, but he seduced her. A person is allowed to marry that. Or anus benai, let's say his son violated a woman. Or mafutas benai, or his son seduced that woman. So it's not his wife. So therefore, actually, that person is allowed to marry that woman. That's the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer. No, he says it's forbidden to marry the woman that his father raped or that his father seduced. Now, that's the machlokes. Rabbi says, my time to be, what's the reason Rabbi Yehuda holds that it's forbidden? Because there's a pasuk in Devarim that says, Lo yikach ish es eshes ava, man should not take his father's wife. And also it says, V'lo yigala kanaf ava, it shouldn't, literally means uncover the robe of his father. What does that mean? It's euphemistic. It's a modest way of saying kanaf shara of the corner of the garment that his father saw. Lo yigala, he shouldn't uncover. And says the Gemara, okay, so obviously it's euphemistic, saying something a woman that his father had relations with. How do you know what it means regarding the woman that his father violated? Because right before that the pasuk said, the man who laid with her, who that pasuk is talking about oinus, that he violated a woman, he has to pay a certain amount of money. So because the pasuk of oinus is near this pasuk of alegal kanaf avim, we learn that here it refers to the woman that his father was ma'anis. That's who you're not allowed to be magala. So you see that he does darshan smuchim b'mishnah Torah. So back to the question. We already have smuchim that Rabbi Shloimy Schwartzberg says that you have a one pasuk of to tell your children Torah, to learn Torah, and another pasuk of Har Sinai. So just like over there, Balkari is also, so to over here, Balkari is also. How could he say you can make Birchas Krishma? So they said that no. Actually, a Balkari, Rabbi Yehuda holds, is mutter b'divrei Torah. Because but Mishnah Torah Darish, you're right, you just brought me proof that Rabbi Yehuda darshan smuchim in Mishnah Torah. But it's still not difficult. Because V'hani Smuchin Boile Le'idech Rabbi Shloimy Schwartzberg. This same Rabbi Shloimy Schwartzberg who we're asking from that says that you darshan the Smuchin, that to tell you that Balkari is Aser, he holds of a different drasha of Rabbi Shloimy Schwartzberg, and therefore he doesn't have that other drasha to tell you that Balkari is Aser, but every Torah. The Rabbi Shloimy Schwartzberg says a different teaching with these psukim. Whoever teaches his son Torah, Malav Akasim, the pasuk considers it, and this they should plaster this by the Avos Abanims, this big sign. Whoever teaches his son Torah, Malav Akasav, the pasuk considers it kibul mahar chayv, as if he received the Torah from Har Sinai. Like it says in the pasuk. This same drasha. It says in the pasuk also, but the zaydas you see here in the pasuk, you should teach this to your sons and to your grandsons. What does the pasuk say afterwards? As we pointed out, this smuchim. You should remember the day that you stood in front of Hashem your God at Har Sinai. So therefore, you see that that if someone's teaching his son Torah, it's as if he was makabel from Har Sinai. So therefore, the Gemara says it's not difficult. And at this point in the Gemara actually assumes Rabbi Yehuda is not concerned for a Balkari with divrei Torah. Why not this smuchim? And you agree to smuchim by Mishnah Torah? It says learning Torah and it says Har Sinai wasn't allowed to be Balkari. So do over here. No, I learned a different drasha of Shimon Levi. Yes, I agree to those smuchim. But what's the smuchim telling me? Smuchim is telling me if you teach your son Torah, then it's as if you makabel Torah from Sinai. Therefore, it's not difficult. At this point, the Gemara still thinks Rabbi Yehuda holds Balkari is mutter b'divrei Torah. So some of the ideas we spoke about on today's daf. Yes, surprised we finished here on the bottom because it starts a whole new discussion. So I'm not going to the top of the next daf. So some of the ideas we spoke about here today on Beruchas Daf Chafal. If we continued with the halach of the previous daf, we were speaking about in our Mishnah that we just went back now here at the end of the daf too, regarding a Balkari. Again, Balkari is not allowed to say the words of Torah according to the Tanakh at least, for sure, but he's mahar. So we said, what is he mahar? And we said he's mahar only in, let's say, Kriyishma, Birchas Hamazon, because they're both deraisa. But regarding other things that are not deraisa, like regarding Birchas Kriyishma or regarding Shemay Nesei, that he's not going to even be maharan. Now, so we said that yes, when we called the word Birchas Hamazon, really the translation is the blessing on the food, on the bread. That is deraisa is only after you finish eating, because we know from a pasuk v'chalta b'sabat berachta. You eat, you're satisfied, and then you make a blessing. Now, so too by Birchas Torah, when you come in to learn Torah, whoever is here by the shiur today, hopefully you said Bechitz there beforehand, because the Gemara is saying it that it's a biblical obligation. Ki Shem Hashem Eker, Moshe Rabbeinu says, when I'm coming to say Hashem's name, Hava Gadol L'Kein, you answer Amen, which is before we're learning Torah, you make a bracha. That's regarding beforehand. Now the Gemara, Rabbi Yechon wanted to say a Kal V'Chomer, that so too before you eat bread and after you learn Torah, it should also be biblical obligation, because each one has what the other one doesn't have, and therefore if that one has that obligation, for sure this one has that obligation. The Gemara says no, because I could tell you that only, let's say, by eating, after you finish eating, you have to make a bracha, because you had pleasure. After learning Torah, okay, you get nitzchis, but you didn't have that full feeling like you have after eating, so maybe there it's deraisa. So too, maybe only by Torah do you make a bracha beforehand, because you're getting chay oil mabah. But regarding food, you're not satisfied, you're coming to make a bracha, okay, rabbinic, I get it, but deraisa, so I could tell you that you don't have that obligation. And the Gemara brings actually a proof, definitively, from our Mishnah, because our Mishnah said that about Keri, although he's mahar and kriyishma, ein mahar bebrachas lefanav. He does not think about the brachas beforehand. Well, why not? When you're coming to eat the food meal, you said by Birchas Hamazon Lachareha, you're going to have to think, but not beforehand. Why not beforehand? You're telling me beforehand is deraisa, Kal V'Chomer is deraisa. So you're telling me by deraisa you have to mahar, so you have to mahar. Obviously, you see from our Mishnah that the bracha on bread beforehand is not a deraisa, it's only rabbinic. Then the Gemara discussed a very interesting question. What's if you're not sure if he said kriyishma? Do you say it over or not? So it's actually machlekes. How is it machlekes? It depends if kriyishma is deraisa. If you hold kriyishma deraisa, as we rule, so you got to say over kriyishma, sabik deraisa l'chumra. Anytime you have a biblical obligation, you have to do it over. But the other opinion holds is rabbinic. Rabbinic, it says, b'shach b'chav kamecha, yeah, but that's talking about divrei Torah. But actually, midaraisa, there's no obligation, only rabbinic. Then what's if you're not sure if you said over emes v'yatzim? So then Evan agrees you have to say it over. Why? Because in emes v'yatzim is a biblical obligation of Yetzias Mitzrayim. In the Beruchas Kriyishma, we talk about paroi and leaving and getting out and all those different beautiful things, getting out of Mitzrayim. That's the rest of that you have to say over. Now, interestingly, even so, it's not difficult. By the Balkari, we said only by Kriyishma he has to think. Why doesn't he think the words of emes v'yatzim? Because by Kriyishma, we want you to say Kriyishma because it has Ol Malchus Shemayim. And in there it also has Yetzias Mitzrayim all the way at the end of Kriyishma. So although the primary, let's say Yetzias Mitzrayim we have, which when you're not sure, you can do by emes v'yatzim, but by Balkari, where you're going to be choosing only one place of Yetzias Mitzrayim, we're going to choose it by Kriyishma. And then once you already thought it by Kriyishma, then Yetzias Mitzrayim you don't need it anymore. It's not deraisa anymore by emes v'yatzim because you already had it by Kriyishma, and that's why everyone agrees in the halacha of our Mishnah that you can be mahar by Kriyishma and not by emes v'yatzim. You're not going to make the Beruchas Kriyishma lefanel lacharel even to think about it. Then we had a machlokes regarding, let's say someone is not sure if he davened, does he daven over or not, and we rule that a person should daven over again. Now, but let's say someone recalls in middle that. Everyone agrees that if he recalls the middle of Shemoneh Esrei, that he already davened, then you stop even in the middle of Shemoneh Esrei. Someone already davened once before, and then everyone's davening, and you remember middle, then you stop. Now, very interestingly, the Gemara says that Shabbos is different. Why is Shabbos different? Because there a person really is biblically obligated to, I mean, not biblically, he has the, depends if how you hold tefillah, but you're obligated in the weekday Shemoneh Esrei. Rabban hu d'lai trachud, Rabban said, okay, in Shabbos, I'm not going to make you go through the effort. So therefore, if you said the weekday Shemoneh Esrei, you finish the bracha, no matter what bracha you're up to, you finish the bracha, because really you're obligated in it. But once you finish, then you go back to the Shabbos davening. Additionally, the Gemara said that if, let's say, you davened once before, you could daven another time if you could be mechadish b'dav. If you could create something new about it, that's actually, many places can say regarding when you have a suffix or whatever, you're going to say over to then be mechadish, because that, according to the basic halacha, you could daven the whole Shemoneh Esrei if you could make something new. Now, this is a very practical halacha, but the rabbi is going to give a share on this a different time. You come late to shul. There's a machlokes. You can only start if Yigmar Kodim Shegiah Shas, if you can finish before the Shlich Tzibah gets up to either Maidim or even earlier by Kedusha. What's their machlokes? Now Maidim for sure, because everyone's bowing down. You got to bow down. If you're middle Shemoneh Esrei, you're not going to be bowing down. Right now, Rabbeinu Tam would bow down, but that, like at Chila, we don't let you do that. If you can finish before and fine, if not, not. Now, why does one say even by Kedusha? Because the question is, could an individual say his own Kedusha? If you could say your own Kedusha, so you don't have to finish by Kedusha, you could say it anyways on your own. So just by Maidim you have to finish. The other opinion holds no, that you have to finish even before Kedusha, because you can't say your own Kedusha. You need 10 people. How do you know you have to have 10 people? We know all Dvarim Shebekdusha need 10 people. How? What do you see from B'Teich? Because by Das Kerech it says Teich. So okay, where do you see 10 by Kerech? Because it says Eida by Kerech, it says Eida by Meraglim. Just like by the Meraglim there were 10 wicked spies, so to there was 10, and therefore we know they need Dvarim Shebekdusha, including Kedusha, you need to have 10 people, and therefore you can't say that you have to, and we want you to say Kedusha, only if you can finish Shemoneh Esrei beforehand, but again, that's why it's only if you come late to shul. If you start, don't look at the people having long Shemoneh Esreis, you're allowed to continue going long. It's only if you come late that's the primary halacha according to most poskim. Now, There was a machlokes regarding do you stop Shemoneh Esrei to answer Amen Yesh Mirabah, where you see how great Amen Yesh Mirabah is, greater than everything it seems like, and therefore you have a choice, you're going to choose Amen Yesh Mirabah. But again, our halach is we don't stop in the middle of Shemoneh Esrei to even answer Amen Yesh Mirabah, although you do stop and think, like we brought from Rashi, by Kedusha, by Kaddish, you do stop to hear the words of Amen Yesh Mirabah. You're just not going to say the words. Now, at this point in the Gemara, in the Havmin of the Gemara was assuming that in our Mishnah Rabbi Yehuda that said you say the Berachas Kriyishma even though you're Balkari, because he holds Balkari is mutar b'divrei Torah. Now, the question is, he himself says that's Aser. Right? So actually, this part of the Gemara we didn't do. That the Gemara is going to ultimately say at one point that he only permits here. But at this point, the Gemara assumes that he says itself that it's Aser because, where do you say it's Aser? Because we have a drasha from Shubban Levi that says, Vaydatim levanecha, and it says, Yemei Hashem adita. So we learn from there that it's Aser for Balkari to learn Torah. And Rabbi Yehuda himself agrees that we're Derish Muchin in Mishnah Torah. And that the Gemara says, no, you could learn a different drasha from over there. That if you teach your son Torah, it's like as if you receive him Har Sinai, and therefore has nothing to do. He doesn't hold to the first drasha. Yeah, I darshan smuchim, but I darshan this, not this, and therefore he doesn't hold that there's an Issa Balkari to learn Torah, and therefore you could go ahead and say everything, even as Balkari. Thank you, Torah, anytime for hosting us.